Alright guys, I know a lot of you are waiting on part 2 for the handlebar video. We had some technical difficulties and unfortunately it's not coming. So this video I'm going to go ahead and describe to you some of the stuff that was missed and how I wrapped this whole deal up. As you can see, I did get the bars on and I've been riding the bike a couple of days now, ringing things out. I want to talk to you about a couple of the problems I hit and how I got around them. One of the biggest problems I had was the depinning process. I couldn't get those little connectors off to save my life, and maybe it was because it was around midnight by that point and I was just frustrated at that point. I couldn't get them off, and I was having a bitch of a time trying to fish the wires through these bars. And these particular bars, 1 curve, 2 curve, 3 curve, I mean, these are tough bars to internally wire. I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been doing it for. You're contending with a bike that has throttle by wire, so you've got a big thick wire running off that with 2 connectors. Then you've got the wire that you see here coming off the hand controls all on this one side. This side was no problem. This side, super bitch. As you can see, I did not internally wire the control wire for that side. I just ran it underneath and paired it with my brake line with a little piece of wire loom and left it external. The clutch line and the brake line you can't hide anyways. They're already out there. So all I did was just kind of piggyback, put a piece of loom on it, and for right now that's fine for me to get me back on the road again. I will at some point, I'm sure, try to wire these bars completely internally, but it was a real problem for me. I'm going to be watching some videos on how to depin those connectors and see if there's an easier way to do it. Plus, there was one connector that had multiple wires that were the same color, like solid white with no defining stripes. So I'm like, are they all the same? Does it matter what position they go in as long as a white goes back in the same position a white wire did and a black wire goes back in the same position a black wire did? I don't know. I'm going to have to research that before I attempt to depin all those connectors and do it. But for right now, it's not bad. I mean, it's pretty clean. I mean, I'm not sure about the loom or not, but it tidies it up a little bit. I did relocate my signals down here with the little clamps. I'm going to tell you something that I probably should have did and didn't. I popped the rubber plugs out on both sides and was trying to pull the wires out through here to get the slack, and there was enough to do it, to do the job. There was enough for me to pull everything to this point without removing the tank or doing any of that stuff. But I shouldn't have done it that way, and I'm going to tell you why. Because all I had to do was take this one bolt out here, loosen a little slack here, for the gauges, and take a little piece of PVC about 2 to 3 inches tall, wrap it in a red rag so it doesn't scratch anything, and lift the tank as high as it would go without removing anything and prop it up against the top of the head on this side, like a little prop. That gave me enough room to get my hand in there with a little wiggle room, pop that plastic cover off the bottom there, and I could have pulled all the wires out on the opposite side here. Could have pulled them all out and then pulled the rubber plug out and gently pulled them one and through without having to tug and yank and all that stuff and figure out what was what. It would have been far easier to do it that way, and I should have done it that way. I just wasn't thinking straight at the time, and sometimes you just got to step back and look at it from a different perspective to realize different options. I did do that. After the job was all done, I went back in the second day, propped the tank up, and did rectified all my wiring to make everything lay in there neater and stuff. And that was something I did on the second day, and also did it again when I had to add these at a later time. I added those like a day later, and I needed to go back in there and run all the wires and that stuff. As you can see, there's a little extra slack on my brake line because I did go a little longer on that, because I wanted the option to be able to put 2-inch spacers and get the bars even higher if I wanted. I was concerned about these bars having a little pullback, and because of the angle, every inch you go up brings the bars closer to you. I didn't know how it was going to work out, but they actually feel great. They feel amazing. Having these bars transformed the entire ride of the bike. You see my little wrench sticking here. That's because the clutch cable is still stretching, the new clutch cable. And the first time I took it out for a ride, I went to about 15 miles out and back, and by the end of that ride, my clutch was barely engaging. So I wish I would have had that with me to do a quick adjustment, but now I'm being smart and just keeping it with me. But yeah, that's the bottom line, guys. There's easier ways to do things, and I'm learning along with the rest of you, because rather than just taking it to a shop and spending $1,500 to pay somebody to do it, my way might not be perfect, but it's trial and error, and at least I did it myself, and at the end of the day I saved myself at least $1,000, and I can live with that. I can live with a little imperfection to save a G. That's that's not even questioned. You might be different, and that's entirely up to you, a call you're going to have to make. Like I said, I haven't decided whether I want to keep this loom on here or not. I wire tied it. It's kind of like that. That might be less intrusive, just leaving it like that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. For right now, I just put the loom on, and it's fine. Once I do the fairing, I'm going to do the FXRT fairing, or FXRD from Deviant rather. Fairing on here with a taller windscreen. You probably won't even see that anyways. By the time it's all said and done, you won't even notice. The clutch cable worked out perfect length. Worked out pretty good. I changed the routing of it just a little bit, and it's fine. Everything's working perfectly fine. Everything's good. So I felt like I really was pissed off when I had the technical problem with my memory card on the second part of the video, because I felt like I was like, man, I really screwed up. I really wanted to show people everything and how I did it, and I'm still pissed about it, quite frankly. But at the end of the day, the reality is the techniques that I used and the stuff that I was talking about still stand. Use a piece of solder wire to pre-fish the bars, or you can use a little piece of yarn, piece of string, the colored string you saw. Just tape off all the other holes where you don't want it to come off. Use compressed air, like a compressor like that, and blow the air through there, and magically it'll pop out the hole that way. Some people like to tie a little nut or washer on the end of it and just use it like a kind of like a maze and get it to come out. There's multiple ways you can get a lead wire to run through there. You could strip the loom, the covering, the factory covering off these wires, make it a little more skinny as well, to help get all those wires through the bars. And this is, by the way, this is not a reflection on Lucky Dave's bars. His bars are deburred. There's nothing wrong with these bars. Everything that could be done to make this job easy has been done. The larger ports, I did, not need to remove the plugs, obviously, to get the throttle-by-wire plugs through that port. I mean, I didn't have to depin them. They went through. This is entirely my lack of skill and first time doing this that was the issue. It has nothing to do with the bars. The bars are amazing. Just want to put that out there. Yeah, I mean, that's basically how it went down, guys. I was able to get that through there, got it down to here using a solder wire as the pull wire, because the yarn, that little yarn stuff, kept breaking. So I got frustrated, got pissed off. There were a couple of times where I got the throttle-by-wire cable right here to this point, and then it got stuck. The string broke, and I couldn't pull it back this way. I'm like, shit, now it's stuck in there. How am I going to get it out? So I ended up twisting the wire, twisting it to where it would flip around in there, and then it would break loose, and I got it out. And that happened twice. But once I knew that, I thought, sit back and calm down, said, all right, relax. We're going to get it out of there. And I started twisting it, with slack on it, and let it flop around inside with twist on it, and it would pop out. I used a little lithium grease on some of the connectors and stuff to make it a little easier to get through there. But at the end of the day, it was just about having a strong enough pull wire to pull it through. If you can get super thin cabling, that's fine. The solder worked for me. That's what I had, and it's like a metal wire, and it was flexible and was able to twist on and real easy and use as a guide. But that, everybody can, think of their own little ways of doing it. There's just so many different options there. But that's what I used. This side was a dream. Went right through, man. I mean, it's just the one little connector and one wire for this side here. It was like nothing. The problem was this side. You've got that same size wire and connector on this side, plus the throttle by wire, which has 2 plastic connectors on there. And honestly, I just couldn't depin them. And like I said, maybe it was because it was late at night and I was just frustrated by that point and tired. But I was just like, man, this sucks. I gotta friggin' just, you know, externally wire this hand control. And I said, you know, I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And it worked out. It worked out just fine. So there you have it. The bike, I know people say sometimes that they say, oh, the bike's so much more responsive with the taller bars. I don't know. I don't know if I feel that it's more responsive or not. I like the riding position a lot better. I'm more comfortable. And I feel that the Lucky Dave seat is as comfortable as that was before. I was kind of leaning slightly forward in a hunch. I was doing that biker slouch, you know, with the stock bar positioning with the 2-inch spacers. Now with these bars, I find that I'm sitting up totally straight, the way I should be. I have better posture, and it's making the seat even more comfortable and making me feel more comfortable. So now it's just a waiting game of waiting for Deviant to get back in stock with their FXRD fairing, and then as soon as that, you know, gets back in stock, I'll immediately order that, and that will be the next video. That I'm ordering a new mini SD card, micro SD card for the GoPro, by the way, guys. So hopefully that this issue that happened won't happen again. We will do the install with the fairing, get it adjusted, and then we'll be looking at installing a stereo system, which I believe, as far as I'm concerned, right now is going to consist of some Kenwood components and some Kicker components. Not entirely sure. There's a couple options I'm looking at right now. To get a banging stereo on this, I believe I'm going to go with an 11-inch windscreen to make sure I get total wind protection for when I'm, you know, running about 80 on the highway and stuff. And that will be the next phase of this whole deal. And then hopefully the hard Viking bags in Vivid Black, the lockable bags on here as well. So until that happens, guys, I don't know if I'll get another video in between now and then, but that's definitely on the horizon. Deviant said October 7th for the fairings to be back in stock, so fingers crossed. Till then, guys, thanks for tuning in.